Hey, are you a small business owner who's tired of being underpaid, overworked, and living on the hamster wheel of Groundhog's Day of results? And they're not good results, right? I remember when I had my first service company years ago, I would be booked 2 or 3 weeks out at a time. And when I was a small, poor service business owner trying to fight the good fight, I wore it like this security blanket that I had 2 or 3 weeks worth of groceries waiting for me. And it was really great. The problem, though, is that I'd go service the jobs that I had, and then there was nothing. There was crickets. Then, of course, I'd panic, feel sorry for myself, and then have to go knock on doors to survive, right? And so when I work with a lot of local service companies, it's feast or famine, and they basically market backwards on accident. And I totally get it. I mean, you already do everything. You change your own brake pads, you change your own oil, you're running bank deposits, you're buying toilet paper for the office if you even have an office yet, and you're wearing all these hats, right? You're the customer service department, the sales department, the technical department, you're the everything department, you're chief everything officer. That's what you are. But if you want to break free from that, there's only really one way to do it. And it really has to do with a mindset shift from operator to CEO, right? And I don't mean chief everything officer. I mean an actual chief executive officer. We have to think like an owner, not as a technician. And because a lot of local business owners, they start their business either because they hated a boss they worked for and they said, I'm going to do it on my own, or they're an employee of some kind and then this is their first venture. What happens is you bring that employee mindset to the business. And people fall into what I call the technical perfection deception. What is the technical perfection deception? Say that 10 times really fast. Well, I don't know. But here's what it is that you think that the key to your success financially and to scale your business is to be actually better at the thing that you do than everybody else. This is why when you go into Facebook groups or online forums like they used to have back in the day, it's just filled with page after page of people arguing about the technical process of how they do what they do. I can imagine now, although I haven't been in a restaurant owners Facebook group, that the restaurant owners would all be arguing over how to baste the turkey or something, right? No, you need to use this. You got to reduce it to that. You got to use the lemon wine aioli or something. And they're arguing about all the wrong things. Well, at least if they want to make more money and scale their business, that is, right? So let's talk about your number one job if you want to get out of this trap. You have to understand that you have one core primary objective. The number one success criteria for you to focus on to quickly get out of this situation is to realize that your real job is to feed the beast. What does it mean to feed the beast? What am I talking about? I'm talking about your job is to close the gap. You need to make sales. Your number one job every Monday morning is how many brand new shiny customers do I need to get in the next 7 days to be on pace to hit my goals? If you want to do $1 million this year and you currently do $600,000, that means you have a $400,000 gap. And your job as the CEO is to close the gap. And you can't eat the elephant all at once, right? So we have to do a little bit of mental gymnastics and do some mathematics to build a gap plan. If your average job is $1,000 and you have a $400,000 gap, well, it's not that hard. We need 400 new, brand new, shiny customers to close the gap. Well, if we have a whole year to do it, then we need a certain amount of customers each week to be on pace to close the gap. Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? And so you as the owner, yeah, you should know how to do the thing, how to grill the cheeseburger or how to wash the window or whatever. But at the end of the day, your first job is to be closing the gap all the time. There's many, many reasons for it. Number one, even if you have 1 or 2 or 3 employees right now and you're small, do you realize what a big deal it is that you are providing for their mortgage? Now, yes, they're working, they're providing for their own mortgage, but they can't get money unless you are feeding the beast. They don't get money unless you go close the gap. You have to go club something and drag it home, right? Daddy has to bring home the bacon, right? And you're daddy, even if you're a girl business owner. That's weird. Should I have said that? Well, let's leave it in. The point is that you are acting in your own best interest and by proxy, the best interest of your staff by selling and marketing louder and harder, by knowing your numbers and feeding the beast. This is also not as scary as people think. They think, well, I'm not a marketer. I just want to stay in the field. Okay, you can do that. I agree that being a small owner operator and having a little business is still way better than working for Larry, the weirdo boss you used to have. But there's also risks involved with keeping your business too small for too long. Because I don't know if you knew this or not, but the Bible says that it rains on the just and the unjust alike. That means bad things happen to good people. And I'm not speaking that on you. I don't want that to happen to you. But the reality is you might get sick. You might stub your toe. You might get injured. You might get sick of it and want to sell your company. And when it's really small and it requires you to be the person flipping the hamburger or washing the window, your business isn't worth any money. And if you get sick or hurt, it's going to disappear really, really, really fast. So you need to have like a sense of urgency to get out of the field and to work on your business, not in your business, which we've all heard 1,000 times, but I want to help you understand why and how to do it. It starts with knowing what your weekly gap is. How much of what thing should you do each week to get the 7 brand new shiny customers you need this week to be on pace to close the overall gap? Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? In some of my other trainings, I teach this concept called the FRAP formula. The FRAP formula. What is FRAP? FRAP is frequency, referrals, average ticket, and pricing. And I have a training, if there's a link somewhere on YouTube where you can watch this, it goes way deeper and it shows you how to make money with your brain applying FRAP. But we always close the gap starting with FRAP. And that rhymes, so that just worked out. You close the gap first by using your brain, not by hiring a marketing agency or hiring an expensive coach or hiring a Facebook ads guy. We're going to do that later if needed at all. First, we're going to use our brain. How do we get our current customers to buy more often at higher prices, to refer more friends, to ascend into our higher ticket programs and products and services? That's what we're going to do. And so we start there. After you apply FRAP to a business, in a lot of cases, you can close the entire gap just by leveraging FRAP. And this is turning into like a nursery rhyme sounding type of video, but it's true. You can do that. So if you have this $400,000 gap, okay, in my example, and you increase the frequency in which people buy a little bit because of a script, an email sequence, a text message, and a clever handwritten note that you send to people, for example, and 1 out of every 5 customers does an additional service a year. Okay, that moves the needle like a lot, like over $100,000, just like that. Okay. Then we get more referrals. We 10x your referrals through clever thinking and through creativity and all these systems and stuff. You know, we manipulate your packages during different times of the year. We do more seasonal campaigns. We play with your pricing using supply and demand pricing. I wouldn't be surprised if that $600,000 company is doing $850,000, $900,000, or even $1 million just from FRAP. And then you don't even have to do anything to close the gap. You can hire the employees, you make sure they get paid every week, and there's layer security on your business, right? So the number one job for you as the CEO is to always be understanding what the gap is and then closing the gap. That is assuming you want to build a sellable business that you're not a slave to, that can provide jobs for more people in the future and will make you more profit for less work than ever before. And the reason that focusing on sales and marketing specifically is the key is because it's the highest leveraged thing you can do as a local small business owner. Leverage meaning there's really no one else that can do it better than you. You can hire an agency, but you're one of 53 customers and they don't care, okay? Their heart's not in it. You know, I say sometimes that enthusiasm alone covers a multitude of sins when it comes to business. So it's not about reading 50 business books on marketing. It's about showing up and being louder about the stuff you do, about believing in your company, about being enthusiastic and being a nerd, right? I call it the Gordon Irwin effect. You got to be for your business what Gordon Ramsay and Steve Irwin were in their respective domains. And this enthusiasm gets people to hire you and it creates momentum. It's easier to recruit employees and you're closing the gap. You're making noise. You're shaking hands and kissing babies. And if you have to hop in the field and flip the cheeseburger from time to time, that's okay. But your main focus needs to revolve not around the technical perfection deception where you're arguing about the technical nerdy parts of the business, but it needs to revolve around closing the gap or feeding the beast, because that is how you go faster. I think in closing here, there's a huge misunderstanding for most small business owners on the amount of volume that's required to get a really big result. Sometimes when I'm talking to people, they'll say, well, yeah, I did some flyers. I'm like, okay, tell me about that. Yeah, I tried them. They didn't work. And I say, okay. And I already know kind of what's going through their head, but this is so common and my heart breaks for them because so many good people are struggling needlessly because of a misunderstanding of the volume required. So I say, tell me about the flyers. What does that mean? And they say, well, I passed them out and no one called me. And I say, okay, well, how many of them did you pass out? I passed out 300. No one called. Not a single person called me. And then I kind of die inside for the 1,000th time and say, well, how about we do 30,000 flyers instead of 300? Do you think that would make a difference? And look, that's not the only factor, but we have a misunderstanding of the amount of effort and volume required to push the rock up the hill. You're not going to accidentally build a $2 million business. You got to do a whole bunch of stuff, starting with sales and marketing, right? And if your flyer doesn't work, you don't stop doing it after 300. We take a look with our brain and we say, did I do it at the right time? Did I target the right neighborhood? Is my foot in the door offer good? Is there a hook? Why would they do it now? Did it rain the day I passed out the flyer? Did it rain the next morning after I passed out the flyer? Are any of these factors contributing to it? Was there urgency? Was there scarcity? These are like little dials you have to play with on your journey of learning so that you can get the big result. But generally speaking, if you just did way more of the stuff that you already know works, your life would never be the same. We market backwards, like I said in the beginning. You're booked out and you're trapped in the field, and then your schedule's dead, and you kind of run around hiring agencies and throwing your money at silly things and money mailers and the Valpak, but there's no strategy behind it. You're just hoping someone comes to save your day. And unfortunately, outside of Jesus Christ, ain't nobody coming to save you, my friend. Okay, Jesus does. It's free. It's the best offer in the world. He's got the best offer. You should check it out. Read the Bible, okay? My point is I want you to win. I'm sick of small family business owners struggling, coming in last, and these unethical bad people go really fast and make all the money. It's madness, but you got to get noisier. And like I said, enthusiasm covers a multitude of sins. And in closing, you're always going to make more money with your brain than you ever will with your back. And just before recording this video, just to verify it, because I'd heard this before, I wanted to make sure it's true. Did you know that professional master chess players, they burn up to 6,000 calories a day when they're playing in tournaments? And the reason that's fascinating is because you might be addicted to sweating. You might be addicted to working physically hard. You might work 80 hours a week, but if you're working on the wrong things in the wrong order, you're still not going to get a big result. Your number one job is to feed the beast. And it's actually hard to use your brain. It's hard to be creative. It's hard to challenge yourself to do the new skill set rather than fall into the hamster wheel Groundhog's Day of everything you've done this whole time to get you here. And if you've been in business 5 or 10 years and you still have a small company, remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. I wish you the best. God bless you. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments. Subscribe, smash the bell button. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you watched, click the video on the left to watch the previous upload. And if you want one of my personal favorites, click the video on the right. And of course, don't forget to hit the middle to subscribe so you never miss an upload. Thank you again for being on this journey with me.